So part of the idea of this work is that everyone in life has challenges. And some of the challenges we have, we do great at. Might even be in business, for instance. You might be working or running a challenging business, but you do really well with it. And other challenges we have, we don't do nearly as well with. And then once we're not doing well with a certain challenge or two, if it's important to us, it begins to, usually we say, we take a behavior that's not working well and we turn it into an identity. So I start out maybe struggling in a business, for instance, and then soon I'm saying to myself and maybe to other people as well, I'm not a good businessman. When I say I'm not a good businessman, then that's an identity. So what we need to do, all of us, since we all have challenges, and again, we do great with some of our challenges and not so good with other challenges, is I think we need to open up to and accept all of the contradictions that are involved in making us a complete person. So if, for instance, I'm not currently doing good in business, but I have a good relationship with my wife or girlfriend, and I'm a good father, and I'm actually pretty good, I'm just making this up now, pretty good at recreational basketball. And in general, I'm pretty solution oriented. So I take all of myself in, take a deep breath and think about, okay, I've got a lot of great qualities, and currently I'm not doing good in managing my business. So that's a, excuse me, that's a much larger perspective than just saying, and kind of slumping and saying, I'm not good at business. So part of what we're doing when we coach people in Seishindo is we're wanting to open them up to the full potential of who they are currently and who they even can be in the future. So we begin our work together honoring the whole person, the entire person, and not just talking to the part of the person that's not doing well with their challenge. In fact, I think one of the main tasks that myself or any good coach has is to be believing in your client when they're not yet able to believe in themselves. So what we do in each of these coaching webinars is I ask anybody if they'd like to be coached. Hopefully someone will say yes today, as usually somebody does. And then when we start working together, when I start coaching one of you, it's all done in a respectful manner. It's all done in a way that's solution-oriented, and there's no need for the coachee to kind of like really go down into their stuck place. So it's meant to be a process that helps to celebrate all of who you are. So, having said that, and there's 3 new people, I'm wondering if, and I'm hoping that one of the 3 of you would like to be coached today and see what it's like.
I'll take the offer if no one else will.
Okay. Would it be okay if you sat up, Alex?
Yeah, sure.
Just so it doesn't look maybe a bit strange to people.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. And so Alex and I are meeting for the first time. And thank you for having the courage to get a little coaching. So do you have an issue, Alex, that you'd like to work on today?
Just one?
One at a
Um,
time is usually best.
so I'm exploring a career change, or
Okay.
investing in a career change, and I'm also a family man. So I've been a little bit tentative into taking the leap, and I'm yeah, just looking for some more sure-footedness.
Okay. And when you say, and again, I'm just talking in like, I'm not going to start asking you like how much money you're investing or this or that. Nothing, usually nothing too personal. But when you say investing in a career change, what do you mean by investing, please?
So I'm an engineer, and I'm looking to get more into the physical therapy space. Actually, by taking bodywork classes and starting up a small practice on the side.
Okay. And what are your considerations? So, in other words, you can transition into body work,
Hmm.
right? Meaning you could have a couple of clients on the weekend or something,
Yeah.
and then you could, since doing some form of body work is what you'd really like to do, if you found a way to attract clients, then eventually you would stop doing the engineering, correct?
Yeah, I think if things panned out and there was some sustainable, income and things like that, yeah, certainly.
Okay, good. So, what could we possibly talk about or explore today that would give you a sense today that you actually somehow got a step farther in this whole process?
I think if I had a better plan, better better vision as to what my profession would look like and my day to day would look like. It would give me some more comfort, um, and and sense of that I was working in the right direction.
Okay, good. And so, in the process of going through this, if today, if you say, ooh, boy, there was more information here than I was considering, that would actually be a plus, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of body work are you going to do? A kind of body work that has a name?
So yeah, it's I guess the umbrella is structural integration.
Structural integration. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does,
And
go ahead.
sorry, I think it's also part of a stepping stone into like just more general physical therapy that would involve some kind of corrective exercise and possibly even some coaching.
Okay, good. So, and are you working for a fairly large corporation at this point, or how is it that you're doing engineering?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm working for a company of about 500 people, 600
Okay.
people. Yeah. And it comes with all the comforts that big companies provide, like benefits, paid time off, 401k kind of things,
Yeah.
and be going into a realm where, as an entrepreneur, it doesn't necessarily provide all of that security.
Okay. And you say you're a family man. Do you have children?
Yeah, so I have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Okay. Okay. And how old are you?
I'm 37.
Just a youngster.
Not
Okay.
as much as it used to be.
So one of the things I've talked about this with many people, not surprisingly, and yes, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, for better or for worse. Usually I've done either pretty well or quite well. I've had a couple of minor failures, but not where I lost a tremendous amount of money or anything. But I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And so, yes, one of the things that you need to get comfortable with and think about is that there is no safety net starting out. And, one business I had, I had a warehouse opposite a post office. and the postal employees, this is back 40 years ago or so, 50 years ago even almost, they weren't the hardest working people in the world, and they walked around fairly slowly in the post office area in those days. And they always used to say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky you're doing what you want to do and such." And I said, for instance, I don't know if they even had, I don't think they had 401ks in those days, but no 401k, no health insurance, no safety net whatsoever. If I got rather sick and couldn't work for a month, that would mean I'd make no salary for that month. So I say that again to you now, and let's both just take a deep breath. And it's like, that could be a pretty big deal, particularly since I have 2 children. So we just let that thought rest there, so that when we talk about other things, we hopefully will have all of this information in and around us. Because I know for myself, I've always said that starting a new business is a bit similar to falling in love. And then it's only after the love starts being a little less hormonal that we start to notice things in the other person that we hadn't noticed before. So if you're going to start a bodywork, structural integration, coaching business, then you know that you would need an office of some kind, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. And where are you living?
We're currently in New York, and considering a move to be closer to family in the Midwest.
Okay. New York City or New York State?
Just north of New York City, so in the suburbs of New York City.
Okay. Makes the rent a little tiny bit better. Makes the taxes better.
Mm.
So what do you think it would cost you to rent some, do you have any idea yet what it might cost you to rent a reasonable office?
Well, it depends on the, obviously, on the details. I'm currently renting a space a couple of nights a week for about $400 a month.
$400 a month. How much do you get to work in that place for $400?
Um, so about 4 hours a night, 8 hours a week, 40 hours a month.
40 hours a month. So
Yeah.
if you were running if you were attempting to run a full-time business,
Mm.
it could cost you double the triple.
Yeah, probably close to like $1,600, $2,000 a month, something like that.
Yes. So, and this is what, so I've done body work. I still do body work. And of course, as I'm coaching you now, I do coaching. So when I'm doing this today, I actually live in Chiang Rai, Thailand. We're talking via Skype, and I'm talking in the apartment that I live in. So very little expense. And so one of the things that happens is if you were paying, shall we say, $1,500 a month, would that be okay?
Okay.
Okay. If you were paying $1,500 a month, how much would you hope to be charging for a session?
My current rate's like $200 for it's about an hour and a half of work, 2 hours of work.
That's a really, I don't know. I haven't been in that part of the world. I grew up in New York City, but wow, that's good for you. That's quite a good fee to be receiving.
Compared to others in the area, it's still kind of entry. So there's
Really?
people charging 250, 300 for a session. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things then we know about this kind of one-to-one work, and I was talking a little bit to David about this before we actually started, is takes someone with a good deal of money to be the client.
Mm.
So we're very quickly, from the total population of everybody living in your city, for instance, we've really gone whoosh, whoosh, because there's not going to be that many people that can afford that service, even if it was $100 for an hour. And, you know, I just read a statistic the other day, which is, I think, quite frightening, or it would be frightening if it was my life, is that 40% of all Americans are meant to be living paycheck to paycheck. And boy, I find that difficult to, I would be such a nervous wreck, particularly, for instance, if I had two kids and one of them gets sick or something like that. It's like we don't even have money for the medicine, perhaps. So you need an affluent client base. And of course, there are also affluent people in your area. And what's the most people you've worked on in, say, a month?
Number of sessions, I'd probably say like 16.
Okay, so I just tell you already, since you're only doing it part-time, being able to get $200 and having 16 different sessions in a month, you're doing pretty well. And how do you currently get your clients?
It's really word of mouth right now and referrals. Yeah.
Okay. But you don't have the kind of situation where you're getting referrals from any kind of medical person, I'm assuming.
Doctors of physical therapy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, personal trainers, those kinds of things.
Okay. Doctors even.
Yeah, but of physical therapy, I haven't really explored, you know, having relationships with orthopedists or anything at this point. There hasn't really been a need.
Okay. Good. Well, that's great to keep in mind. And I've had a fair amount from time to time. Other coaches would refer people to me in regard to body work.
Mm.
And it wound up helping the coach when I had good results with their clients, and normally I did. And so they came to me often because of injuries or something. I have a pretty wide skill set, and I can do usually really good with people that have been injured, for instance. They come to me for 2, 3, 5, 6 sessions. They're no longer suffering from the injury, and then they're back to their coach. So 16 sessions. So if you were paying, now since you said you get $200 a session, if you don't mind, I'll bump your rent up $100 and call it $1,600 a month. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. You need to do 8 clients a month just to pay the rent. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would mean 2 clients a week just to pay the rent. And then just, again, I don't, you know, just so you can feel comfortable with whatever answer you give, what do you think right now would be a reasonable, when I say take-home salary, I mean your total fees a month, not talking about taxes and stuff. Now, what would you want to be making?
So what would I want to be netting, taking home after all my overhead and
Yes.
everything? I think to be living comfortably in this area,
Yes.
like 150.
150 what, please? We're talking a month.
150,000. Oh, a month. I'm sorry. So more like 11,000 a month, something like that.
Because 150,000 a month, I was saying.
Whoa, that's a lot of sessions.
You don't need to be talking to me.
Yeah.
So you just said something like 10,000 a month, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Just for round figures.
Mm-hmm.
10,000 a month divided by 200 is 50 clients a month,
Mm.
plus the 8 you need to just pay your rent. And then, of course, there's going to be electricity and so forth. But we're just going to say $1,600. So 58, 60 clients a month,
Mm-hmm.
15 clients a week.
Mm-hmm.
With that, if you were netting about 10,000 a month, you'd be able to afford health insurance and such for your family.
Not the best, but yeah, some form.
Okay. And there are, and again, I haven't lived in the States in years, but there are any number of organizations, and I'm guessing it has to, physical therapists or whatever get together, and you sign on to a program belonging to such and such a group of physical therapists or something, and therefore you get a little better price on the health insurance.
Mm.
So 15 clients a week. And then the next piece of the puzzle, just as I'm doing it in the moment here now, is that in my estimate, the way I think about businesses is businesses grow in steps. So part of what I mean by that is no matter how popular you get, chances are you're not starting with 15 clients a week. Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you would also need to factor in I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 6 months of working and maybe just barely paying your rent and such
Mm.
until things started to pick up.
Mm.
So then if you're going to be doing that, and I'm not going to try to do all the calculations in my head right now, you'd actually be good talking to somebody like my friend Tony, who's on this call tonight, and working out a spreadsheet. Because when you say investing in your business, part of what you'd be investing in is the fact that you wouldn't be making the salary you need for X amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've taken in that much information so far. If you did move, and you see, when I took a breath and just settled in for a second, I remembered something else you said, which is if you did move, then you'd be starting back at zero again.
Yeah.
So you'd be closer to family, most likely a little bit less expensive area you'd be moving to,
Yeah.
but you'd be starting out with no clients.
Yeah. Also, I think the numbers would change a bit and that I wouldn't be able to get away with charging the same amount per session.
Yes, that would most likely be true. And hopefully the difference between the less you were charging and the less the expenses were, you could make that work out.
Mm.
So then whether or not you're going to move is a pretty crucial part of whether or not you're going to attempt to do this kind of work as a full-time living. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you kind of keep that in mind because like, even if you started bumping up your number of clients a month where you're currently working, it's like to some extent that could have little connection. Once you move, you've lost all those clients.
Yeah.
So I think the best news is apparently you have quite good skills. I'd love to have a session with you myself, and I mean that seriously. Or we could trade sessions. And You know, my experience is that it's not all that unusual that people study something and get a certification and then don't yet really have the skills. So I know in the world of NLP, do you know what NLP is?
Yeah, neurolinguistic programming.
Yes. I know in the world of NLP, people take a practitioner program, master practitioner program, thinking they're going to set the world on fire, only to discover they can't really attract clients, or they got a few clients, but they didn't get any noticeable results. And for instance, I can tell you in the coaching world, about, I'm going to call it 8 years ago, the ICF, which is one of the largest coaching federations, sent out a questionnaire or poll to their membership, and it turned out that 80% of the people that had been certified as coaches weren't able to make a living doing it.
Mm.
But you're charging $200 a session, about an hour and a half session. I mean, if you said you've had a total of 3 clients so far, I'd go, okay, we don't even know what's going on.
Mm.
But sounds like you've got the skills, and that's a huge plus. And then one thing I would just mention to you, having done a lot of this work in the course of my life, is whatever you set your session up to be time-wise, it's usually quite important that you don't go over that time limit.
Mm.
And I actually have seen people make themselves sick. So one of my best friends, I lived in Japan for 30 years, one of my best friends was a really good acupuncturist. And his sessions were meant to be an hour. And it turned out that he never worked less than about an hour and a half, because the client was saying, oh, gee, I feel better there, but my right shoulder is bothering me, or this or that. And he kept on trying to help them. And he actually wound up making himself sick and had to stop working for almost a year, actually. So I'm just pointing that out. Maybe you seem that the way you said nodded yes when I mentioned it, just really important to do that.
Mm.
So here's what I'm thinking at the moment, if I was you, is so to get more clients, some of it's word of mouth, and more clients lead to more word of mouth, hopefully. And again, if you're charging the fee you're doing well. But the other part is how to make more professional relationships with medically oriented people, physical therapists, whatever. So perhaps just suggesting, perhaps what you would make the most sense for you is to take the block of time that you have to do this work while you're also being an engineer, and do your best to fill up that block of time, not in regard just so you can make more money, but that you can make some of these other relationships and see that they actually bear some fruit for you.
Mm.
So rather than saying, I have this plan to contact physical therapists, doctors, whatever, orthopedic people, nice plan, but then you found out once you started to implement it, it wasn't working nearly as well as you thought it was, that you could start implementing it as you have the time now, and to see indeed if you were going to get referrals.
Mm.
Am I making good sense?
Yeah, to me, it sounds like another step in testing the waters and
Yeah.
seeing if I can get the clients up to like that critical mass that's needed in order to sustain an income for my
Yes.
family.
Yes. And excuse me. like I was talking before, I, I'm not sure if you were on when I said, one of the things we need to do as human beings is to embrace and accept all of the contradictions that go into making up who each one of us is. And wow, I can't tell you how many people I've coached, some who are either coaches or working in body work of some kind, that do good work, but are actually fairly horrible doing the outreach to get more work. And it's a different skill. I mean, it's a very different skill. Someone comes into my office for, let's say I've done a lot of good work with people that have migraine headaches. Let's say I have them lay down on the table. I start palpating them, getting a sense of what's going on with them. And then I have these various, call it techniques or modalities that I use. That's completely different than going to an orthopedic doctor's office and having a conversation with him or her about the possibility of referring people to you, huh?
Yeah.
So one of the things I would suggest then is that you work up, I don't like to call it a sales pitch, but anyway, work up a sales pitch and run it by a few people that you think would be good to run it by, to see how you come across. Because again, you're going to come across different in actually doing the body work, chances are, than you're going to come across talking to the orthopedic person or the doctor. And then one of the crucial things about that conversation, I think, is not just saying, oh, I'm so good at this and I have this training, and is you need to find a way to engage the person you're talking to so that they feel like they're an important part of the conversation, and not only important because you're hoping to get business from them. And in regard to writing, I've done a bit of writing in my life, and there's a general statement out there that when you're writing, like I've written one book and tons of articles, that 90% of the whole process of writing is the editing. So you get a good idea, a series of good ideas, put it down. I still somehow say on paper, but on screen. And then, and I've heard this from some of the top writers in the world, famous writers, it's never good enough in the beginning. And the honing and the honing and the honing and taking out the extra words and realizing that you were kind of missing the mark in the first place, that's the crucial part of writing. And that's why most good writers have good editors. So in regard to talking to some people that could refer work to you, rather than, well, you might just go in and be a natural and get great results, but rather than just going by the seat of your pants, again, I would be trying to talk on several people that you thought would be a good person to try it on, so that you can know as much as possible before you go in the first time. Okay. So how are you feeling now about this possibility of eventually becoming a full-time, call it body worker?
So a bit more comfortable in that there's some more immediate steps that can be taken to prove concept, and some more variables that are identified that need to be kind of calculated whether it's cost of living or taxes, things that I can do to just feel safer and more secure in
Good.
that decision.
So out of the conversation so far today, you're feeling that you have a better potential handle on what it would take to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Is that correct?
Yeah, and they're more like iterative steps than they are big leaps.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, most likely quite a number of baby steps.
Hmm.
And yeah, again, I want to say you must do good work, must, but you know, if you're getting clients at $200 for an hour and a half, uh, that's excellent. And one of the big things is that invariably most people starting a business never figure out all the expenses. And again, expenses involves taxes and everything. So there's one thing to say, how much money do I need to make for my family and I to keep our head above water? That's one thing. And that's like a first figure. And then what do I have to do to get to that figure, including taxes and so forth and so on, and obviously rental of an office.
So something I might, that thing that might help. Do you do a budget of what you currently spend per month?
I have, and I just haven't updated it in a while.
Okay.
So it sounds like
There's a program called Mint. It's free.
yeah.
And Mint, M-I-N-T.
Okay.
It's an online free. It hooks into your credit cards, bank accounts, etc. It's highly secure. It's made by Intuit. And what I would suggest you can do over the next 3 months, all the transactions come in. You can categorize those transactions, say as groceries, restaurants, healthcare, housing, etc. And then that should give you a decent baseline after 3 months of what on average you would be spending for each of those categories. And also remember, running your own business, there's a lot of things that you can take off your taxes, matter of fact, compared to now. So being your own employee, if you use your car, somehow you're traveling to do sessions, your car could be payments could be written off, I believe. Again, you know, consult a tax advisor on some of this stuff.
Sure.
You can also, if you're using your home as an office, I think some of that stuff could be taken off. So you may find your overall taxes go down as a self-employed person. And I would also probably consider making an actual LLC, maybe not LLC, or something for small business. I forgot, like S corporation or something. So in case you were to get sued during your sessions for some odd reason, you could have insurance on that company. Your company wouldn't get sued rather than you personally. So
Right.
a couple of things to think about.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. And it's important is that you most likely want to get together with an accountant. Because yes, there are savings to be made. And I know also, I mean, the last time I owned a business in the United States was at least 35 years ago. So it used to be easy to have a lot of write-offs in business. But the US government has tightened up and tightened up and tightened up on that. So not much in the way of write-offs compared to what there used to be, you know. So you feel like you've got more to work with, more to think about, more baby steps that you can take. And that what you're into doing is testing what's possible, yeah, rather than just kind of trying to leap into it or fall into it. It's unusual for me to get such a nuts and bolts kind of question or consideration to talk about as we're doing today. And I'd like to think it works pretty well for me since, again, I've been doing a lot of the same thing myself for quite a long time. And just one other thought that comes to mind, Alex, that could be a good way to broaden your audience is to run some small group classes somewhere in the basic process that you're using with people.
Mm.
So I do some Japanese-oriented body work, and I like to work with people sometimes on these large physiotherapy balls. For many years, I ran classes once a month. You can run them once a week. I used to run them once a month. And I'd get anywhere from 5 to 15 people showing up at the class at a really inexpensive fee, because it was my way of broadening my audience. So I wanted to make the entry into it as easy as possible. So when I had, let's say, 10 people in the class, and we were doing these certain exercises that we do, and I'm doing this now because it'd be one of the things, if you're on a ball and you started doing this and you take some deep breaths, and most people would wind up saying, wow, we're only doing this for 5 minutes and I feel better. And I hope anyway, I wasn't trying to sell during those group classes, but I think the idea would be, well, if you had some sessions doing this, if you've had like really major shoulder problems or headaches for a long time, most likely is not going to completely do it. People get the idea that, wow, I should try a session or two with this guy.
So almost educational.
Yes. Educational, and you're creating, again, an easy entry level opportunity for people.
Mm.
Because, whenever we say anything about, oh, I'm an accomplished this and that, or people really love my work, or, depending on how well people know you, they don't believe you. They think this guy is just kind of bragging to try to get clients.
Mm.
So when you get in front of 5, 10, 15 people, that could be good potential clients. You're doing something simple with them. They're getting results, and they go, okay, worth trying.
Mm.
So what's your family name again, Alex?
Willen.
Willen?
Willen, correct.
So they could eventually be the Wellen technique, huh?
We'll see. My ego is not that big where I need to have my last name be the method. So whatever get people healthy, I think that's my primary thing. Just also conscious that I have responsibilities as a father and a husband.
Absolutely.
So trying to make those two work to bring relief and to help people optimize their lives while being able to, responsibly raise, and have a family.
Yes. Yeah, no, it'd be a wonderful thing to do. I think we've given you some, as you said yourself, some good baby steps, because the more you can figure out fairly certainly before committing fully, the safer things will be for you. So there we are for today. We're a couple of minutes before a full hour being up. Is there anything else you'd like to ask, Alex, or make a statement, or?
Like this, the pauses and the breaths, I think were more powerful than I anticipated. Just to acknowledge whatever was on mind, just allow to process and move forward. So just a nod to the importance of those.
Excellent. I love that you say that. And what I say to people sometimes, not always, when I start to work with them is it's important to note that this isn't the same conversation that you're having at a coffee shop with someone or such. And I just took a breath there. So that when you're working with your clients and you can notice that I'm slowing down now, when you're working with your clients and that was, sorry, but that was my daughter trying to send me a line message. I thought I had line completely off. When you're slowing down and breathing, your clients are going to tend to slow down and breathe more. So then you're having the experience today, Alex, if I understood you correctly, that the pausing and the breathing makes a big difference. And that means
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. So that's, I mean, I'm sure you had a sense of that already, but just having the experience for yourself today is another tool to put in your tool chest.
Mm-hmm.
That when your clients come in and they go, "Ooh," it's like, okay, good. Anyway, good that you're here. I'm going to ask you to just take a deep breath. Take a moment to really get here. Maybe you were very busy before you came here, whatever. Take a moment to really get here. And sometimes in order to help them do that, I'll suggest, so just notice 3 sounds in our local environment. Take a deep breath. Notice 3 things that you're seeing. And that could either be, you could name colors, you could name objects, you could name whatever. And then take a deep breath. And then notice 3 different physical sensations. And that's usually enough of a setup to get them into the way of being in the world that's going to set them up to be good for the session. Yes?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Definitely found myself in like more of a parasympathetic state,
Yes.
just more aware and almost mindful of the environment. And I feel like that could be applied to so many different things. So,
You know, I've playfully said in the past many times, I don't know why they call the sympathetic nervous system the sympathetic nervous system, because it's not all that sympathetic. So, yeah, one of the greatest things we can do is get people to switch which is the primary nervous system that they're using at the moment.
yeah.
Of course, you can do that with skillful touch, but it can make it easier by doing the little bit that I've just done now.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for today.
Thank you.
And thanks to our friend, my friend Tony, who's now your friend as well. Tony's got just so many resources when it comes to, he's an excellent planner. Oops, I got a shock from my computer. Excellent planner, project manager and such, really high quality business person who also has a passion for this work, which is why he's usually on the calls. So thanks for the both of you. And Alex, I hope to see you again in the next webinar, which is usually within about a month's time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Charlie, and thank you as well, Tony.
Okay.